Hello, everyone, and a very wonderful morning. Seeing all guys, and as she just mentioned, why don't we have some of you forward? I mean, it's get a better interactions with me and Rajesh getting into a fire chat. Yeah, Rajesh?
Absolutely, and delighted to be here. And the first thing is an admission that we are extremely vulnerable because the goalpost shifted. The three of us were supposed to be talking, and then eventually we're two of us. So Beenaa and I have a simple thing to do. We're going to keep it more conversational. I have nothing to moderate. A job of a moderator is sometimes good, right? You put the speakers more on the fence, and then you keep going across. But now I need to participate in the discussion, so that's the shift. But absolutely delighted to be part of this stuff. Anything more you want to add before we jump into the context?
No, I think lots I would want to take it from you, Rajesh, in the sense, how do you look at this environment getting in when we are saying AI as a buddy? And that's what the question trailing on everyone's mind, I guess.
Thank you so much. I think that's a lovely one because when we put this word buddy, the first thing is we didn't want this to be just a conversation or even a masterclass or anything like this. We're not going to preach. Yeah, as I said, we are vulnerable. So that's admission one. So this is going to be more of a debate. It's going to be more around things which we have possibly succeeded, failed. Fortunate to be in the world where there's a lot of action, sitting around a lot of clients who give a lot of sound bites in terms of what's happening out there. We learn a lot through mistakes and admissions and upgrades in terms of the asks and builds that keeps coming from the customer world, and that's the excitement. The second part that I would allude to is emotions around the word buddy, right? I'm sure a lot of you, and we did get some pushback even in social media when we said buddy. Buddy? What do you mean? I mean, I know we're going to try and do this, it's going to be immensely challenging in 20 minutes, but nevertheless, we'll jump into it a little quickly.
Yes, of course.
And before this particular, aspect of it came into play, there's one thing that was running as a theme in my own head, and I keep debating this on a daily basis. Is AI a fab or a fad or a fat? Don't know. I mean, possibly all of them holds some parts of the truth and the other side as well. But nevertheless, I think it's something that's very essential. From a data standpoint, I think both of us agreed that if you look at the business world, 78% of the businesses have adopted AI. We're not judging what it means at this stage, and we shouldn't be. But from a HR standpoint, it's about 45% globally in terms of the AI adoption. And India is higher than the global adoption as far as the AI is concerned. So that clearly tells you the curiosity and the excitement that really needs to come in along with this. A lot of softer stuff, Beenaa. I think I will possibly want to put that into play. Putting a lot of softer stuff, while tech is right up there, the anxiety part of it, the boldness, the curiosity, the decision making, the energy, the decision dynamics, the energy, the fairness and fun, the entire global mindset and humility, or independence and individuality, all of them will need a lot of human elements. Has it really gone up there, and is it being blended? Happy to possibly touch upon some of those aspects along with the life cycle. But those are all ringing in our head. We don't have answers in the 20-minute session, but nevertheless happy to build conversations beyond this session as well with each one of you and any cohort that may be more interested. Over to you, Beenaa. I think we built about 4 discussion tracks. So maybe track 1 was the first one which we said.
Just before we get onto the track, I think just little to add to the statistics, while you mentioned that 78% of the decision making or from the business side, AI is involved. Having said that, broadly 45% plus in the Indian markets, which HR is involved into. Let me add to it further that approximately 47%, which has been the recent statistics done by Economic Times and with various, survey agencies, approximately 47% of it are the AI-driven combined decision making, which not only the BFSI sector, but predominantly majority of your pharma or cognitive business solutions get into making through the AI and through the AI modularization. So that is where I think that word emerging as an AI buddy is being heard out, that in our day-to-day lives that we are incorporating where the AI stands in our everyday decision-making aspect, does it really get go of the human element here? In my perspective as an HR professional being in the system, absolutely not. AI is just helping you to make the decision in a more informed manner, and wherever you have the influence of people, emotion, regulation, legal, everywhere is where AI will support you, but it's not the tool that you should be completely dependent upon. That's my take on it, and as we advance on our
Awesome. I think thanks for building that added perspective, Beenaa. I think really nice. So we're talking about a body that assists an autonomy that is no boundaries, and we're thinking not. It's not just a it's a thinking aid. It's a thinking aid and not a replacing aid. I think that those are some of the essential stuff when we actually crafted this entire stuff. Maybe we did not put those detailing out in the the entire text part of it, but that's what we actually thought. And since there were a lot of queries that came in, I think this we've consumed a fair bit of time explaining and demystifying the myth around this, but hopefully this has set the context. Yeah, jumping into track one, Beenaa, if I were to ask you AI from a tool to a teammate, and what I mean is team automatic speed, plenty of loads of voluminous data, to a team play in terms of learning or possibly helping, assisting, supporting. How do you see the journey as far as your enterprise is concerned?
Sure, Rajesh. So I will want to add to this very precisely. I think lots been spoken about AI, generative AI. When I talk about BFSI space, also particularly in my space as a mutual funds or the financial sector is concerned, AI is certainly, I would say, is adding a value as a teammate because day by day, what is it that we are looking for? We are looking for agility, higher productivity, new businesses that are coming up. We have to be adapt with those style of businesses and the running of the mechanisms with that agility and the entire framework of how our workflows are. I think in that perspective, AI definitely is an added advantage, and the way it is advancing on a year-on-year basis, we are saying we have almost seen so many versions of AI coming in, not only from an international market but from an Indian market also. We are saying a lot of software and tools are befitting to AI in terms of our day-to-day operational aspects. So, to give you an example, while AI is a boon, slightly from that narrative, I would say it is also a bit of a disaster if you are completely dependent on it. So I would count it as a leadership that AI is now from just taking it as somebody who helps you in making or developing the system. Leadership should focus on right framework and the legal aspect of AI. And I'm emphasizing this again and again because that's the need of the time. A lot of places where I speak, I get a download of very senior leaders. I only get to understand what is the policy framework, data privacy that we are talking about when there is so much of a data infusion happening. In an industry that I operate, there is a lot of data available over there, right from people to investors to your clients. Over there, as I would say, AI as an autonomy works fabulously well as long as it is from a human perspective, or my fund managers or my treasury managers or any of those are in a position to handle that with the right articulation framework and then take their own decision based on the sources or the resources that get through AI as a data to them or the screening of the data to them. I think that's most important in this environment.
Thank you so much. I think if I were to just coin maybe three words that actually rings in my mind based on your narrative, one is a strong advisor, not a decision maker. Second is co-pilot. I mean, important that AI is not piloting the entire journey, but it's co-piloting. It's sitting at the co-pilot level. Number two, and the third one is an amplifier. So it enhances the entire decision making and the overall journey
Makes
as
it
far as
quicker,
the
makes it faster.
yeah, so I think those are the three things that's possibly coming through. I think important. I mean, when I use the word co-pilot, and in fact in Hono we call our entire agentic support as Hono co-pilot, and that's important because it's very essential to realize today AI can perfectly fly an aircraft, but how many of us will sit in a pilotless AI-driven aircraft. That's exactly the principle around which we all are seem to be evolving, and the trends are also indicating. It's like an 80-20 cardinal rule, where as long as we know that 80% of assistance is drawn from AI across each of the life cycle elements, and 20% is still reserved around those A to G elements that I said, many more of those softer stuff, I think we're still possibly getting the journey right. Yeah. Anything more you want to add from possibly an anxiety or a fear or resistance standpoint, Beenaa, which we can possibly build in the conversation, which we're possibly going to reserve the last 5 minutes towards queries as well, because we're not going to say everything out here, because it's important to know what your minds are, and maybe we'll, in our interest, we'll take about 5 or 6 questions to try and build on them. But anything that you would think that would add a lot of value in this particular discussion from fear, anxiety, resistance elements?
No, certainly. Thanks to put this across to me, Rajesh. What I see, I think it's a very vast subject, and it's quite difficult to just have a 20 minutes chat around it and try to arrive at all the solutions. So that's not very pragmatic in my understanding. Having said that, certainly I think there is a lot of talent fear that's I could see that's in the market with the AI coming in, where people feel that a lot of their jobs would be taken in, especially in any of your IT industry, or you talk about any pharma, or you talk about technology, you talk about some of your traditional setup of industries, even including BFSI for that matter, where your systems are being now handled through the AI and the co-pilot modes and everything. So this area, which we called as our emotional quotient, EQ, or we called as EI, I think that's where it's becoming essential that every leader, every decision maker should focus upon in trying to eliminate from their good talents, or the talents that they find it hypo in their perspective of the operations of organization or industry. Which is why, when it comes to your rewards, recognition, or, framing the right practices, that all is still human, and that all needs to be certainly set in rightly in the system as a culture. I think what we are missing the point over here, which we talk a lot as on the organizational level, is culture. We are highly on our great people culture, but are we really following that? Culture is not only, trying to support your employees. Culture is also building it with the times, what requires a change. And I think with AI coming is, this change has become prominent, dominant in my perspective. So that's where. Having said that, I have something to quickly ask you. Since you're operating out of this zone, and as a consultant, what do you pursue when you look at clients and when you are addressing these concerns on the other side of the table?
Thank you. I think it's a fascinating question, and I'll possibly try and build a little bit of context around what are some of the sound bites that we hear from the client world. Number one, business impact. I think while a lot of AI has come into play, people want to see definitives. For example, one of the solution that we've built is a very clear blue collar solution where there's a direct contribution to EBIT level. So it works on a complete system of sensing at the back end. The entire absenteeism is worked at, and there's a positive and an immense amount of impact, and it's very live, it's very relevant, it's something that the entire organization can see from an impact standpoint. That does not mean that you really, outsource your soul of the organization, that, everything is going to be dependent on that. That's number one. Number two, volume hiring. Of course, we don't see too much of volume hiring in the IT-enabled space, IT services space right now. But when it used to be there, or when there are bulk of the other organizations which are doing a lot of bulk hiring, the show rates, the show rates. For example, you release a lot of offers, you don't know how many people are going to join, and those predictability part of it. And how do you really do this? You crawl on the web and then do a lot of social relevance, build platforms across, build algos to that, and build the agentic stuff to bring some of those aspects into play to say what's the likely show rate, rather than causing the business.
But just
taking
on
it
that
by
element, on a quick note, Rajesh, I think there is a lot of overload of this ATS, and the way that when we see a LinkedIn's, or we see our sourcing sites, or as an organization, when we are a structured or a matrix organization, we are highly, certainly I understand there are more than thousands to thousands profiles, resumes that we get in. But is it everything that AI? At the end of the day, we have to understand that what is AI? It is a human-fed technology with your smartness that you have built in to reciprocate and help you in your day-to-day mechanisms. But today we are slowly, gradually becoming prey to it, where we are, only going by the virtue of what AI is giving as a part of the decision. I think that silo is something which we have to break. And as a people leader, as a people person, I certainly believe that only an ATS system, or like one which is bringing in, the shortlisting of your profiles across to you, is that what speaks about the person who has really exhibited that experience in the industry? Is that what it speaks about, that individual which you on gut feel could be a right match, or the right, talent coming across in your organization? Then you have to break that. Just don't go by what an AI as a resultant has provided it to you, and go ahead. So I think these systems which you all are building, that is one thing which needs to be certainly fed into as a part of the ongoing process, as a build-up of an application. Social media is going very judgmental about it, so we have to be also conscious, and hence, I think that's where...
Thanks, Beenaa, for bringing this. I think it's going to be very challenging to bring this. I can go on and on with a lot of user cases, but if I were to just defend it on a couple of stuff, I think I will defend it only on 2 or 3 things. There are plenty of admission of failures at the client level and at our level as well. So say that, yes, I think we possibly have not done this. That's number one.
Thanks
Yeah,
for that.
and you've got to be bold at this. That's number one. Number 2 is, how do you reposition this with a good amount of change management? A lot of things that we do with a complete, soulless kind of a positioning of an AI actually faces death at the end. I mean, that's very clear. I always give a very simple analogy to this, very, very simple. Many a times, have you seen that the mouth is positioned exactly between the heart and the mind? Yeah. So the heart is what is the HR function. We take a lot of decisions with our heart. We speak many a times with the heart, but many a times we speak with the brain and then later regret it, right? So all our actions, words, and behaviors, this processing keeps happening. It's exactly the same stuff in this 80-20 cardinal rule in an enterprise as well. If you're able to blend this right, if there's a good amount of AI that comes into play, and if you're able to bring the soul behind the heart and the mind, I think you possibly end up doing much better. Wherever there have been admissions, wherever there have been confessions, wherever there have been like real journey forward, we've been able to build a lot of cognitives. And I must admit that a lot of testing also will need to be done. But it takes a lot of courage and strength at the enterprise level to say that we want to do it, and admission at our front also to say that we want to possibly test it out and take the prototype to the next level. Cognizant of time, I mean, we just got 2.5 minutes. We can go on and on, I'm sure. I think our build-up was much, much more, but I think we should take a few questions. I think that could be relevant. If you could keep it very brief, we'll try and address them. But please go. We would love to.
Maybe we can take good to couple of questions.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Ma'am, it's pretty easy, to implement AI when, people are already sitting in front of a PC or, an RT organization or a BFSI organization. So let's say I work in a segment, a tech segment, wherein we have offline segment and we are planning to transition to AI. So how do we create that urge or need in an employee, that yes, it is important for me?
Should I take this? So quick thing, I think I just spoke about the culture. How you create the need is certainly if you believe that this is what you want to acquaint, learning tool is the most easiest and the fastest that you have to imbibe into the employees, if I would say, because that's how, unless and until they understand what the benefits are across utility of co-piloting and AI in the system, they will not be able to adopt to it.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Can we take one more? Yeah. So we already got a shout out from
Hi,
there.
Beenaa.
Just
Hi,
one
Rajesh.
more, yeah.
This is Sagar from Accurate. So AI, we talk about AI. So what we understand, I understand, is AI is advanced Google or advanced analytics. So do you find any perfect use case where productivity of HR function has exponentially increased because of AI? Just want to understand that.
Yeah, I'll just give you 2 examples and I'll build this conversation outside, yeah. One is I did tell you about the absenteeism part of it from a tool base, how we really impacted EBITDA. The other one that I can think of is, and I'll leave this with you, and I'm using a word very consciously, and any enterprise would be, very, very loaded on experience, density. Yeah, nobody really applies their mind when they look at experience. Yeah, whether you need a 20-year-old guy, a WorkX guy, or a 15-year guy, or a 10-year guy, nobody's ever challenged that, right? You typically go on that assumption basis. Once you challenge that, I think you release a lot of cost and you release a lot of productivity and efficiency. We have many, user cases that we can talk to you about. Yeah, but we will definitely want to build this offline. Yeah. I know we have run out of time, but your closing thoughts, my closing thoughts, and then we hand it over back to you.
Yeah, so just before we conclude, just a quick one is I would be happy, me and Rajesh both would be happy to answer any of your questions are still there outside this room, as well as, we have our email IDs also out shared with People Matters. So if you wish to know or want some more specific to be addressed, please do write to us. And with that, yes, Rajesh, over to you.
Thank you. My closing thoughts are, yesterday a prospect asked me, what do you see? I know you're doing a lot of work. You keep talking about it on a daily basis. Where do you see AI by 2030? I think it was a very challenging question, and I'm building on that. I just used a very simple, and I did it on my feet. I said the shift I see is from 4Ps to 4C. As HR, we were managing people, processes, practices, and policies. Yeah, the shift that I see where AI will enable the new age building is all about the 4Cs: culture, capabilities, and listen to the third C very carefully: contribution to business and credibility. This is the shift that AI can enable, and this is what new age is going to be all about. Possibly we'll close this. I know if we've excited your minds adequately enough, but it will depend upon how further conversations we build offline. But absolutely delighted to have been amidst you all, and hopefully we've left something for you to ponder and take it forward. But we are there for extended conversation. Thank you, Beenaa, for being here.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you, everyone.
Now let's give them a very big round of applause, everyone. What a phenomenal way to kickstart Studio One.